A mother named Claire sat at her kitchen table last Tuesday evening with her 3-year-old daughter Isla. Between them sat a set of bright wooden alphabet blocks and a laminated letter chart. Claire had been working on the letter A for 2 weeks. Every night after dinner she would hold up the card, say the letter, and ask Isla to repeat it back. Isla would stare. Sometimes she would say it, sometimes not. Last Tuesday, Isla picked up the A card, looked at it for 3 seconds, put it face down on the table and said, "Mummy, can we do something else?" Claire felt a knot form in her stomach, because Isla's cousin Theo, who is the same age, already knows 9 letters. Because the nursery sent home a progress sheet, and Isla was the only child in her group who had not started recognizing her own name in print. Claire did what most caring parents do in that moment. She blamed herself for not starting early enough. She ordered 2 more workbooks. She downloaded 3 phonics apps. She doubled the nightly sessions from 10 minutes to 20, and within a week, Isla started crying at the kitchen table before the blocks even came out. Not because she was lazy, not because something was wrong with her, but because her brain was being asked to build a house without a foundation. I'm Dr. Nana, and for the next 20 minutes I'm going to show you the 5 things your child's brain needs before a single letter will ever make sense to them. Most parents have never heard of even one. Before we continue, I want to be clear. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional advice from a speech therapist, child psychologist, or developmental pediatrician. Every child develops differently. Here is what happened to Isla. And here's what is probably happening in your home right now, without you realizing it. You are not failing your child. You are just building in the wrong order. 5 things come first. Let me explain what I mean by building in the wrong order. When most parents think about teaching their child to read, they think about letters. A is for apple, B is for ball. That is where everyone starts. It feels logical. Letters make words. Words make sentences. Sentences make reading. So start with the letters. That is what the workbooks say. That is what the apps teach. That is what nursery sends home. But developmental science says something completely different. Letters are not the foundation of reading. Letters are actually the 5th floor. And most parents are trying to move their child into the 5th floor of a building with no stairs. The foundation is invisible. You cannot buy it in a workbook. No app teaches it. No progress sheet measures it. But without it, every letter your child learns will sit in their memory like furniture in a room with no floor. It will not hold. There are 5 skills that come before letters. I'm going to walk you through each one. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand why Isla cried at that kitchen table, and why it was not her fault. The first skill is one most parents have never heard named. It is called oral vocabulary, not reading vocabulary, not spelling words. The number of words your child can hear, understand, and use in everyday speech before they ever see a page. Here is why this matters. When a child eventually learns that the letter C makes a K sound, and A makes an R sound, and T makes a T sound, they need to blend those sounds into a word, cat. But if the child has never heard the word cat spoken aloud in a meaningful sentence, if they have never pointed at a cat and said the word, if cat does not already live inside their brain as a concept, with meaning, then blending those sounds produces nothing. The sounds connect into a shape that has no anchor. The child can say the word, but they do not know what it means. And reading without meaning is not reading. It is noise. This is what happens when we skip oral vocabulary. Research confirms it. Children who enter school with a vocabulary of around 5,000 words consistently outperform children who enter with a vocabulary of around 3,000 words, not in year 1. In every single year after. And here is the part that should change how you spend your evenings. You do not build oral vocabulary with flashcards. You build it by talking, narrating your day. Naming things at the supermarket, describing what you see on a walk. When Claire realized this, she stopped the letter drills. She started narrating everything. Isla, we are cutting the red pepper now. Feel how cold it is from the fridge. Hear the crunch, that is the seed inside. Do you see them? Within 3 weeks, Isla's vocabulary had visibly expanded. She started using words like crunchy and slippery and underneath, not because anyone taught her those words with a card, because someone used them naturally in a moment she could feel. That is skill number 1. Oral vocabulary. The invisible flaw beneath every letter your child will ever learn. If you have been skipping this, you are not a bad parent. Nobody told you. But now you know. The second skill is even more invisible than vocabulary. It is called phonological awareness, and if you have never heard that phrase before, you are in the majority. Most parents never hear it until a reading specialist says it in a meeting they did not expect to attend. Phonological awareness is the ability to hear the individual sounds inside spoken words, not written words. Spoken words. It is entirely about the ear, not the eye, and it develops months before a child should ever be shown a letter. Let me show you what I mean. Say the word banana out loud. Now clap each syllable. Ba, na, 3 claps. That is syllable awareness. Most 3-year-olds can do this with practice. It is the first layer of phonological awareness. Now say the word cat out loud. What is the first sound you hear? Coo. That is initial sound recognition, harder. Most children develop this around age 4. It is the second layer. Without this, phonics instruction is meaningless. Now say the word bat. Change the first sound s to s. What is the new word? Sat. That is phoneme manipulation. It is the most advanced layer. Most children develop this between ages 5 and 6, and it predicts reading success more accurately than any letter test ever designed. This is what the research is screaming, and what most parenting content ignores. Phonological awareness is the single strongest predictor of future reading ability, stronger than knowing the alphabet, stronger than recognizing sight words, stronger than early writing. And here's the mirror part, the part that will make you uncomfortable for exactly 30 seconds before it sets you free. If your child is struggling with letters, the problem is almost certainly not the letters. The problem is that their ears were never trained before, their eyes were asked to work. You did not cause this. The system never told you. Schools assume children arrive with phonological awareness already built. Apps skip straight to letter recognition because it is easier to gamify. Workbooks cannot teach sound isolation because workbooks are silent. So what do? You play rhyming games. You sing nursery rhymes. You clap syllables at dinner time. You ask your child what sound starts the word mummy. You make sound play part of every ordinary moment in your home. Claire started doing this with Isla. They played a game every bath time called What Rhymes with Cat. Isla would shout bat, hat, mat, sat. She was laughing. She was learning. And she had no idea she was building the machinery her brain needed to read. That is skill number 2. Phonological awareness. If your child knows their letters but cannot hear the sounds inside words, they have the keys to a car but no engine. Nothing will move until the engine is built. Now we reach skill number 3. And this one hides in plain sight. It is called print awareness. It is the understanding that the marks on a page are not decoration. They carry meaning. They go somewhere. They follow rules. Most adults take this for granted. You see a book and you know instantly which way is up, where the front cover is, that the words go left to right and top to bottom, that spaces separate words. You learned this once, but you do not remember learning it. A 2-year-old does not know any of this. To them, a book is a thing with pictures. The squiggly marks between the pictures are wallpaper. They have no reason to believe those marks matter, until someone teaches them that they do. Print awareness is built by reading together, Not speed reading, not audiobooks. Sitting with your child and a physical book and pointing at the words while you say them. Running your finger along the line, showing them where the sentence starts and where it ends. Showing them the title on the cover. Showing them the author's name. Letting them turn the page themselves. These tiny physical interactions teach a child something profound. That print is a code. That the code has structure. That the structure can be cracked. Without print awareness, a child who learns the letter B sees a shape. They do not understand where that shape belongs. They do not know that it sits in a word, that the word sits in a sentence, that the sentence sits on a page, that the page sits in a book that opens from the right. Claire had been reading to Isla since she was a baby, but she had never pointed at the words. She had never shown Isla the title. She had never run her finger along the text. She had read beautifully to her daughter while accidentally skipping the lesson her daughter needed most. This is not a failure. This is a blind spot that almost every parent shares. You read to your child because you love stories. Nobody told you that the pointing was the point. Now you know, and from tonight you can change it. Skill number 3, print awareness. It costs nothing. It takes no extra time. You are already reading together. All you need to add is your finger on the words and a sentence that says, "Look, this is where the story lives." Skill number 4 is the one that surprises parents the most. It is called visual discrimination. And it is the reason some children confuse B with D, P with Q, and M with N for years longer than their peers. Visual discrimination is the ability to see differences between similar shapes. In the real world, children practice this every day. They sort blocks by shape. They match socks from the laundry pile. They spot which banana is bigger at the fruit bowl, but letters are different. Letters are abstract. They are arbitrary shapes that look almost identical to each other. A lowercase b and a lowercase d are the same shape flipped. A P and a Q are the same shape flipped the other way. For an adult, this distinction is obvious. For a child who has not built visual discrimination skills, it is like asking someone to hear the difference between two musical notes that are one semitone apart. Without training, the brain literally cannot see the gap. And here is where well-meaning parents make it worse. When a child confuses B and D, the parent corrects them. Again and again. And the child starts to feel stupid. Not because they are, but because they are being asked to pass a vision test their brain has not yet been trained to take. Visual discrimination develops through play, jigsaw puzzles, spot the difference games, sorting buttons by size and colour, matching activities, pattern recognition games. All of these build the visual engine your child's brain will eventually use to tell letters apart. Isla was mixing up B and D constantly. Claire assumed it was a learning difficulty. She almost booked an assessment. Then she tried something simple. She bought a set of wooden shapes and spent 10 minutes a day asking Isla to sort circles from ovals and triangles from diamonds. Within 6 weeks, the B and D confusion dropped sharply, not because anyone drilled the letters, because Isla's visual system learnt to detect small shape differences. The letters sorted themselves once the engine was running. Nobody needed to force it. That is skill number 4. Visual discrimination, the ability to see small differences between similar shapes. Without it, half the alphabet looks like the same letter. With it, letters start to separate naturally, and your child stops feeling broken. Now we arrive at skill number 5. And this one is the most emotional. Because when parents hear it, they often realize they have been doing it all along without knowing it mattered. The 5th skill is called narrative ability. Narrative ability is the skill of telling a story. Beginning, middle, end. This happened, then this happened, then this happened. It is the ability to organize events in sequence and communicate them to another person in a way that makes sense. Why does this matter for reading? Because reading is not just decoding letters into sounds. Reading is understanding a story, following a sequence, predicting what comes next, connecting one sentence to the sentence before it. Without narrative ability, a child can read every word on a page and still not understand the page. Here's the part most people never hear. Narrative ability develops through conversation, not reading apps, not comprehension worksheets, conversation. When you ask your child what happened at nursery today and then listen while they tell you, they are building narrative structure. When you ask them to tell you what happened in the cartoon they just watched, they are practicing sequencing. When you ask them what they think will happen next in a story before you turn the page, they are building prediction skills. All of this is pre-reading, and none of it involves a single letter. Claire started asking Isla to tell her one thing that happened at nursery every evening. At first, Isla said, "I played." That was it. 2 words, no structure, no sequence. Just a label dropped on the table, but Claire kept asking, "What did you play? Who did you play with? What happened first? Then what happened?" And over several weeks, Isla went from "I played" to "Mummy today, Ava and me played kitchens, and I was the chef and Ava ate the pretend soup, and then she said it was too hot and we laughed." That is not just a longer sentence. That is a sequential narrative with characters and action and cause and effect. That is the skill that will one day allow Isla to read a chapter book and know what it means. And it cost nothing. No workbook, no subscription. Just a question and 10 minutes of listening. 5 skills: oral vocabulary, phonological awareness, print awareness, visual discrimination, narrative ability. These are the 5 floors beneath the alphabet. These are the stairs your child's brain needs before any letter will stick. And here is the moment I need you to hear clearly. If you have been teaching your child letters without building these 5 things first, you have not damaged your child. You have not failed. You have not wasted time. You simply started at a point the system told you was the beginning. It was not. The real beginning is invisible. It lives in your conversations, your songs, your pointing finger on a bedtime story, your patience when your 3-year-old tries to tell you a story that takes 4 minutes and has no ending. The real beginning looks nothing like school, and that is exactly why most parents miss it, because we have been trained to believe that learning looks like sitting still with a worksheet. But for children under 5, learning looks like play, sounds like singing, feels like talking. Now I want to give you something practical, because knowing the 5 skills is only useful if you know how to build them. And the good news is that every single one of these skills can be built in moments you're already having. For oral vocabulary, talk to your child constantly. Not instructions, not corrections, descriptions. Narrate what you see, what you smell, what you feel. Use full sentences, use interesting words. Say the persimmon is ripe, instead of just the fruit is ready. Your child will store every word you use in front of them. For phonological awareness, sing nursery rhymes every day. Play rhyming games at mealtimes. Clap syllables of words during car rides. Ask your child what sound starts the word daddy. Make sound play a normal part of life, not a lesson, a game. For print awareness, point at the words while you read bedtime stories tonight. Show your child the title, the author, the page numbers. Let them hold the book and turn the pages. Point at signs when you walk. Say, "Look, that sign says open." Your child's brain is mapping what print does. For visual discrimination, play matching games, do simple puzzles, sort laundry by colour. Ask your child to find the sock that matches this one. Ask them to spot which 2 shapes are the same. Build the visual engine through objects before you ever ask it to work on letters. For narrative ability, ask your child what happened today. Ask follow-up questions. What happened next? How did that make you feel? Ask them to retell a story you read together. Start with 2 events and build to 3, then 4, then 5. Sequencing is a skill. It grows with practice. These 5 activities together take less than 30 minutes a day. They require no materials. They fit inside routines you are already doing. Dinner, bath, bedtime, walking to nursery, driving to the shops. The classroom is already built. You just did not know it was a classroom. Now I want to tell you what happened to Isla, because the end of her story is the reason I made this video. And it might change how you feel about everything you have been doing with your own child. After Claire stopped the letter drills and spent 8 weeks building these 5 foundational skills, something happened that she did not expect. Isla walked into the kitchen one morning, pointed at the cereal box, and said "Mummy" that says Cheerios. The C makes a ch sound. Nobody had taught Isla that. No flashcard, no app, no drill. Isla had built enough phonological awareness, enough print awareness, enough visual discrimination, and enough oral vocabulary that her brain connected the dots on its own. The letter became meaningful because the foundation was ready. And here's what I need every parent watching this to hear. This is the permission I wish someone had given me when I first started working with families. You are not behind. Your child is not behind. The timeline the internet has sold you is a lie built to sell workbooks. Children do not need to know their letters at age 2. They do not need to write their name at 3. They do not need to read sight words at 4. What they need at those ages is language, sound play, book love, visual sharpness, and the ability to tell you a story. The letters will come. They will come faster and stick longer when the foundation is solid. And the foundation is built not in the chair at the kitchen table, but in every ordinary moment where you talk to your child like they are a whole person who deserves your full vocabulary. I want to address one more thing before we finish, and it is the guilt. Because I know some of you are already feeling it. You're thinking I should have known this. I was wrong. I pushed too hard. I made my child cry over alphabet blocks. Stop. You did what you were told to do by every app, every nursery newsletter, every well-meaning family member, and every comparison you ever made on social media. You followed the path that was visible. Nobody lit the other path. Nobody told you the stairs existed. I am Dr. Nana. If this video changed the way you think about teaching your child to read, leave a comment telling me which of the 5 skills you're going to start building first. I read every single one and I will reply. And if you know another parent who is sitting at the kitchen table right now feeling guilty about letters, send them this video, not because I need the views, because they need the permission. Subscribe so you do not miss what comes next.